Picture this, it's 1584 and Japan's a messier place than his sake-soaked tavern brawl. Warlords are carving up the land faster than a butcher with a grudge, and samurai are less about honour and more about who can swing a katana without tripping over their own ego. Into this chaos steps Miyamoto Musashi, a name that'll one day make grown warriors sweat through their silk robes. You're about to walk his path, not as some polished hero from a scroll painting, but as a scruffy mud-stained kid who's got destiny whispering in one ear and a wooden sword creaking in your hand. This isn't Hollywood's samurai flick with glowing sunsets and noble speeches. No, this is the real deal, gritty raw and smelling faintly of smoke and steel. Let's set the stage. The Sengoku period's in full swing, a time when Japan's less a country and more a chessboard for power-hungry daimyo playing checkmate with armies. Castles rise and fall faster than your neighbour's Wi-Fi signal, and loyalty's as reliable as a paper umbrella in a typhoon. You're born in Miyamoto Village, a speck in Harima Province where the hills are rough and the air's thick with the tang of horse sweat and forge fires. Forget cradle mobiles of cherry blossoms. Yours is probably a rusty tanto dangling over your head, swaying to the rhythm of your mother's weary lullabies. This is your world, and it's not here to coddle you, it's here to forge you. Now before you sink into Musashi's story, do me a favour. Dim the lights, maybe crack a window for that cool night breeze, or turn on a fan for that soft hum that'll carry you to sleep. If you're loving this journey, hit that like button. Subscribe and drop a comment. Where are you tuning in from Tokyo at midnight, Chicago at dawn? It's wild to think we're all sharing this tale across the globe. Musashi's life is no fairy tale, but it's got a pulse, a rhythm that'll pull you in, slow your breathing, and maybe make you feel like you're standing on that hard-packed dirt of Miyamoto blade in hand, ready to carve your own legend. Why does Musashi matter? Because he's not just a swordsman. He's a storm in human form, a philosopher with calloused hands, an artist who paints with ink and blood. His Book of Five Rings isn't some dusty manual, it's a map for anyone who's ever faced a fight, whether it's a duel, a deadline, or the chaos in your own head. You'll see him grow from a wild kid to a ronin who scares the pants off Kyoto's elite, to a sage scratching wisdom in a cave. But it starts here in the muck and madness of a world that doesn't care if you live or die. So take a deep breath, feel the weight of that wooden sword, and let's step into Musashi's shadow. The blade's waiting, and it's got your name on it. You blink into the world in 1584, and let's just say the welcome party's less than festive. No silver spoons or silk blankets for you, just scratchy cloth swaddling, and a wooden spoon to bat away the chill of Miyamoto's drafty huts. Your village is a stubborn cluster of homes clinging to Harima's rocky hills, where the wind carries the clang of a blacksmith's hammer and the faint stench of manure. This isn't a place for soft dreams. It's a crucible, and you're the raw iron about to get hammered. Your first cry isn't just a baby's wail, it's a challenge to a world that's already betting against you. Your father, Shinmen Munisai, isn't the type to coo over cribs. He's a swordsman, the kind who treats a katana like an extension of his soul, and expects you to do the same before you can even walk straight. Picture a man carved from oak with eyes that could make a wolf rethink its life choices. Munisai's not here for bedtime stories about gentle kami spirits. His tales are of samurai splitting skulls with one swing, told with the warmth of a winter gale. Love. It's there maybe, but its sharp edge delivered in gruff commands grip the sword Musashi or the world will grip you. Affection's a luxury, and in this era, luxury gets you killed faster than a poorly timed parry. Your home's no palace. Think mud walls, a smoky hearth, and a floor that's more dirt than dignity. Your mother's there, quiet, stitching clothes that'll tear again by next week, her hands rough from work and worry. The Sengoku period's a meat grinder. Warlords bicker, villages burn, and survival's a daily duel. You're not just a kid. You're a spark in a tinderbox, and Munisai's determined to make you a flame. By age 5, you're not playing tag with other kids. You're dodging your father's wooden sword, learning that hesitation's a bruise and weakness is a death sentence. The other village boys chase chickens. You're ambushing them from behind a tree, cackling like a tiny warlord. Mud's your second skin, and that wild glint in your eye, it's already scaring the local dogs. This is where your legend starts, not with a noble birth or a glowing prophecy, but with Callus's sweat, and a father who'd rather see you bleed than bow. You're not tidy, not polite, and definitely not the kid reciting poetry at the village shrine. You're trouble, the kind that makes old women whisper and old men nod because they see it too. You're not meant for a quiet life. The blade's already singing to you low and steady like a heartbeat you can't ignore. And out there beyond Miyamoto's hills, a world of steel and strife is waiting to meet the storm you're about to become. You're barely tall enough to see over the rice sacks in Miyamoto village, but your father, Shinmen Munisai, has you gripping a wooden sword like it's your lifeline. Forget learning kanji or chasing fireflies with the other kids. Your classroom's a patch of hard-packed dirt, and your teacher's a man who'd rather see you bruised than broken by the world. The air's thick with the scent of sweat and forge smoke, and every morning while the village stirs to the cluck of chickens, you're out there swinging a bokken that feels heavier than your own bones. This isn't playtime, it's survival school, and Munisai's curriculum is brutal. Parry or perish, he growls his own sword, whistling down like a hawk on a rabbit. You learn fast hesitation's a welt, and crying's a lecture on why weakness is death. Your days are a blur of splinters and sweat. Munisai doesn't care that you're 6, 7, 8 years old. To him, you're not a child, you're a blade raw and unpolished, needing the grindstone of discipline. He drills you in stances until your legs scream, your knees creaking like a sack of gravel. Balance is life, he says, knocking you flat when you wobble. You fall, you bleed, you get up. No cookies for effort, no gentle pats. Praise is a grunt when you block a blow without flinching. The village kids peek from behind trees, half-awed, half scared as you spar with a man who's felled samurai for the Ashikaga shogunate. They're learning to fish. You're learning to dance with death. But here's the thing, you're not just surviving this, you're thriving. That wooden sword's starting to feel like an extension of your arm, its weight as familiar as your own heartbeat. You're not memorizing moves, you're feeling them the way a river feels its path through stone. When Munisai swings, you start to see it coming, not just the blade, but the flicker in his eyes, the shift of his shoulder. You're a scrappy, muddy kid, but there's a spark in you, a wild hunger that turns every bruise into a lesson. The blade's singing to you now, louder than ever, promising a destiny bigger than this dusty village. You're not dreaming of feasts or fame, you're dreaming of the rhythm of steel, of outsmarting the next move before it's made. Picture this as you drift off the clang of wooden swords under a blood-red sunset. The ache in your small hands, the fire in your chest that says you were born for this. No participation trophies in Miyamoto, just the cold truth that survival's its own reward. If you're still with me, drop a comment, where are you right now? London at dusk, Sydney at midnight. Let's keep this journey going. Munisai's forging you, but the world's waiting to test you. And soon, you'll get your chance to show it what a half-pint warrior with a stick can do. You're 13, all gangly limbs and defiance, when a travelling samurai named Arima Kahei struts into Miyamoto, like he owns the dirt under his sandals. He's from a fancy martial arts school, cocky as a rooster, thinking no village brat would dare challenge him. Big mistake. Word spreads faster than a grass fire. Musashi, that wild kid with the muddy feet and sharper stare, is stepping up. The villagers gather whispering bets, their faces a mix of pity and curiosity. Your own family looks at you like you're a lamb trotting into a tiger's den. They expect blood yours, but you're not here to lose. That wooden sword in your hand, still smelling of firewood, feels like fate itself. The dueling grounds, a dusty clearing, the air heavy with the tang of nervous sweat and blooming plum trees. Arima's got a real katana polished to a wicked gleam, and he's smirking, probably thinking this'll be over before his tea cools. You're barefoot, your tunic stained your hair, a mess that'd make a crow jealous. No bowing, no speeches, just you, a scrawny kid with a stick, staring down a grown man like you've already won. The crowd holds its breath. Arima moves all grace and arrogance, expecting a dance. You don't dance. You lunge raw and savage, an avalanche in human form. Your bokken cracks against his arm, then his chest before he can blink. He's down, groaning blood, trickling from his pride as much as his bruises. A samurai floored by a teenager with a glorified tree branch. The villagers gasp, then cheer, their bets forgotten. You stand there, heart pounding, the world sharper than ever. You've just announced yourself to feudal Japan, and it's not a polite introduction, it's a war cry. Your father's face is a storm of pride, and something else, maybe fear, because he sees it now, you're not just his son. You're something dangerous, something even he can't fully shape. The blade's song is deafening now, drowning out the crowd's roars. You're not here to farm or bow, you're here to fight, to rise, to carve your name into history's bones. Arima's defeat is your first blood, and deep down you know it's only the beginning. Close your eyes, feel that moment, the weight of the bokken, the sting of dust in your lungs, the fire in your veins. If this story's pulling you in, hit that like button, tell me where you're at. Kyoto at dawn, Seattle at dusk. The world's about to learn what you're made of, but first you've got to keep walking, keep fighting, keep proving the blade chose you for a reason. You're 15, barely old enough to grow a decent scowl, but the fire in your gut's burning hotter than Miyamoto's village forge. After thrashing Arima Kihei, you're no longer just Munasai's kid, you're Musashi, the scrappy punk who made a samurai eat dirt. But home feels like a cage now, its mud walls and smoky hearth, too small for the storm brewing inside you. One dawn, with the roosters still half asleep, you make your choice. No tearful goodbyes, no packed rice balls from your mother, just a tattered cloak, a battered wooden sword, and a stubborn streak wider than the Seto Sea. You're done with Miyamoto. You're done with rules. You're stepping into the world to become the warrior you were born to be. Picture feudal Japan in 1599. Warlords squabble like crows over carrion samurai strut with blades sharper than their egos, and the roads are choked with dust and danger. You're not heading to some cozy apprenticeship carving sandals or scribbling kanji. You're a ronin now, a masterless samurai spitting in the face of a society where loyalty to a lord is everything. It's like walking into a banquet, kicking over the sec table and strolling out whistling. Freedom's your blade now, and it's sharper than any katana. You don't care about gold or glory, you want mastery, the kind you can only forge in the wild, where every step's a duel with fate itself. Your family doesn't throw you a parade. Munasai's eyes hard as flint watch you go, maybe proud, maybe pissed but silent. Your mother's hands pause mid-stitch, her face a map of worry she'll never voice. The village whispers, "Crazy kid, he'll be dead by next moon," but you don't look back. The road stretches out a ribbon of dirt under a sky heavy with clouds, and it smells of pine sweat and possibility. Your cloak's more holes than cloth. Your sandals are a bad joke, and your stomach's already grumbling louder than a temple gong. Doesn't matter. That wooden sword at your hip hums with purpose, promising battle's lessons a name that'll echo beyond these hills. Close your eyes, feel the crunch of gravel underfoot, the weight of that bokken pulling at your belt. You're not just leaving home, you're cutting ties with a world that wants to chain you. If this tale's got you hooked, hit that like button, drop a comment, where are you right now, Osaka at noon, Dublin at dusk. The road's calling and you're answering one defiant step at a time. Out there beyond Miyamoto's safe little bubble, the dojos, the duels, the destiny you'll carve with your own hands are waiting. Keep walking, kid, the blade's got plans for you. You're a 15-year-old ronin, a speck of trouble wandering Japan's dusty roads with nothing but a wooden sword, a ragged cloak, and a hunger that's half for food, half for something bigger. The Sengoku period's a brutal playground. Bandits lurk in the shadows, samurai patrol for lords who'd sell their own kids for a better castle, and villages hunker down like turtles in a storm. You sleep under pines, their needles, your mattress, the stars, your roof. Breakfast. A stolen radish if you're lucky, a questionable riverfish if you're not. Your boots are more whole than leather, and you smell like you've been wrestling wild boars. But out here in the wild, you're not just surviving, you're sharpening like a blade against a river stone. Every town's a new dojo, every swaggering swordsman a chance to test yourself. You don't bow or beg for lessons, you challenge the best your bokken, ready your eyes, daring them to laugh. Most do at first. You're a kid scrawny with dirt smudged across your face like war paint. But when you move fast and feral, their smirks die quick. A dojo master in Okayama goes down clutching his pride and a bruised rib. A cocky samurai in a roadside inn learns his fancy footwork's no match for your raw instinct. Each win's a lesson, each bruise a teacher. You're not collecting trophies, you're collecting pieces of mastery bit by bloody bit. The road's your real sensei. Rivers teach you to flow around obstacles. Cold winds drill patience into your bones. Hunger sharpens your focus until it's keener than any blade. Villagers start whispering about the wild Ronin, the kid who fights like a demon and vanishes before the dust settles. You don't care about their stories. Fame's a trap and you're too busy dodging real ones. Bandits, rainstorms, the occasional stray dog that thinks you're lunch. That wooden sword's your only constant, its weight a promise you're not here to scrape by. You're here to become something the world's never seen. Drift off to this, the creak of your sandals on a moonlit path, the low hum of a distant temple bell, the pulse of a destiny you can't name yet. If you're still with me, smash that like button. Tell me where you're at. Kyoto at midnight. Austin at dawn. The road's reshaping you. Musashi stripping away the boy and forging the warrior. Every step's a duel, every night a chance to dream of the blade's next song. Keep moving, the dojos are waiting and they don't know what's coming. You're a teenager, barely 16, and Japan's roads are your home now, a sprawling dojo of dust and danger. You're a ronin, a masterless samurai with a wooden sword at your hip and a cloak that's more holes than hope. Forget the polished samurai strutting for their lords, their armour gleaming like a peacock's pride. You're a wild thing, Musashi, with mud-caked sandals and a stare that makes bandits rethink their career choices. The Sengoku period's a cauldron of chaos warlords. Bicker villages burn, and loyalty is a coin that buys you nothing but chains. You've chosen freedom instead, and it's a blade sharper than any katana cutting through the world's expectations like rice paper. Life as a ronin isn't glamorous. You sleep under trees, pine needles prickling your back, the night air sharp with the scent of damp earth and distant smoke. Dinner's whatever you can scrounge stolen rice if the gods are kind tree bark if they're laughing. Your travelling companions, crows cawing their disdain, stray dogs eyeing your last scrap, and the occasional peasant kid whispering, "Mama, that guy looks like he fought a bear and lost." But you don't care. The wilderness is your sensei teaching you what no dojo could. Rivers show you how to slip past obstacles. Frost bites patience into your bones. Every mile you walk sheds another piece of the village boy, leaving only the warrior lean and hungry with a blade that hums for battle. You're not out here for gold or glory. You're chasing mastery, the kind you can't find bowing to some pudgy lord or polishing armour for a paycheck. You seek out dojos not to join them, but to challenge their best. You stride into towns, your bokken swinging, and call out the local hotshot. They laugh until you move fast and feral, and their pride's on the ground next to their bruised ego. Each duel's a lesson, each victory a step closer to something bigger than survival. The road's reshaping you, Musashi, into a storm that'll shake Japan's foundations. Villagers start whispering your name, half in awe, half in fear, but you're already gone, chasing the next fight, the next truth. Picture this as you drift off the crunch of gravel underfoot, the weight of that wooden sword pulling at your belt, the open road, stretching into a horizon that smells of steel and possibility. If this tale's got you hooked, hit that like button, drop a comment, where are you right now? Tokyo at dusk, Seattle at dawn. You're a ronin now, unbound, untamed, with a destiny to carve. The world's waiting and it's not ready for what you're becoming. Keep walking, the blade's got plans for you. You're out there on Japan's wild roads, a ronin with a wooden sword and a mind sharper than any blade. One day, under a sky heavy with rain, you have a thought that'd make every dojo master choke on their sake. Why settle for one sword when you've got two hands? The samurai code's all about tradition. One katana, one perfect cut, blah blah blah. But you're Musashi, the kid who flipped tradition the finger when you left Miyamoto. So you pick up a wakizashi, the shorter blade, and start training with both a katana in one hand, a wakizashi in the other. It's not just a style, it's a rebellion, a new rhythm you're about to beat into the world. At first, it's a mess. You're in a forest, clearing the air thick with pine and sweat, swinging both swords like a drunk trying to dance. You drop the wakizashi. You trip over a root. One glorious moment you nearly knock yourself out with your own katana. The crows watching from the branches probably have a good laugh. But you don't quit. You never quit. You beat tree trunks into splinters, learning to move each arm like it's got its own mind. Left parries, right strikes, then switch fast as a river's current. It's clumsy, then it's fluid, then it's deadly. You're not just fighting, you're flowing unpredictable as a summer storm, and that's the beauty of it. You call it Niten Ichiryu, the two heavens as one school, and it's as much a part of you as your heartbeat. Single-sword samurai are baffled, their rigid forms useless against your twin blades. Spearmen. They're frustrated before they start. You're not playing their game, you're rewriting the rules. The road's your dojo, and every duel's a chance to refine this dance. A cocky swordsman in a dusty village squares up expecting a classic duel. You overwhelm him, one blade deflecting the other striking, and he's down before he can curse. Your style's not just effective, it's a statement tradition's a cage, and you're the wolf who broke free. Drift off to this, the whistle of two swords slicing the air, the ache in your shoulders, the thrill of forging something new. If you're still with me, smash that like button, tell me where you're at. Kyoto at midnight, Sydney at noon. Niten Ichiryu's your blade now, Musashi, and it's cutting a path no one's walked before. The dojos, the duels, the destiny, they're all waiting for you to show them what two swords can do. Keep swinging, the world's about to learn. You're a ronin Musashi, carving your legend across Japan's dusty trails. But it's not just your two swords that make warriors tremble. It's your mind, sharper than any katana and twice as deadly. You've learned a truth on these roads. A duel's won, before the first blade swings in the flicker of doubt in your opponent's eyes, in the sweat beading on their brow. You're not just fighting bodies, you're dismantling spirits, and you do it with a grin that's half wolf, half storm. The Sengoku period's a brutal chessboard, and you're playing 3 moves ahead, turning fear into your deadliest weapon. Forget polished armor or fancy titles. Your real edge is the way you make grown samurai question their life choices before you even draw. Picture a dusty village square, the air thick with the scent of grilled fish and nervous anticipation. A local swordsman, chest puffed like a rooster, steps up to challenge the wild ronin. You don't bow or posture. You just stand there, ragged cloak, flapping your eyes, locked on his like you've already seen him fall. You tilt your head, maybe smirk, and he flinches barely, but enough. That's your opening. You've learned to read the tells, the trembling hand on the hilt, the too quick blink, the way pride makes men predictable. You move wrong on purpose, a stumble that's no stumble baiting him to strike too soon. When he does, your twin blades are there fast and merciless, and he's on the ground, wondering how he lost before the fight began. This is your art now, psychological warfare, as much a part of Nita Nichiryu as your swords. You show up late to duels not out of disrespect, but to fray nerves. You fight with a wooden stick instead of steel, not because you're broke, but because it screams you don't need a real blade to win. Villagers whisper about the ronin who breaks men without touching them, and you let the stories grow. Fear's your shadow, stalking your opponents before you do. It's not dishonourable. It's survival, the kind of smarts that keeps you breathing in a world where blades are quicker than promises. You're not just a swordsman. You're a storm that lives in their heads, and they're already drowning before you move. Drift off to this, the tense silence of a dueling ground, the weight of your bokken, the thrill of outthinking a foe. If this tale's pulling you in, hit that like button, drop a comment. Where are you at? Kyoto. At twilight, Chicago at dawn. You're rewriting the rules of battle, Musashi, with every mind you unravel. The road's your dojo, and the next duel's waiting to learn what fear tastes like. Keep stalking the worlds not ready for your kind of storm. You're a wandering Ronin Musashi, a teenage terror with 2 swords and a reputation that's starting to outrun you. Japan's roads are your proving ground, and every town's a chance to test your Nita Nichiryu against the best, or at least the loudest. You don't seek fame, you seek mastery, but fame's chasing you anyway like a stray dog after a scrap. You roll into villages like a summer squall, ragged and raw, challenging local champions who think their dojo scrolls make them invincible. They're wrong, and you're about to prove it one bruised ego at a time. The Sengoku period's a meat grinder, but you're not meat, you're the blade, and you're cutting through Japan's toughest like they're bamboo. Imagine a riverside town, the air heavy with the tang of wet reeds and sake. The local dojo's pride, a swaggering samurai with a katana shinier than his wit boasts he'll teach the dirty ronin a lesson. The crowd gathers betting on your blood, their chatter buzzing like flies. You don't talk smack, you just step up twin blades, loose your cloak torn, but you're focused, diamond hard. He lunges, all pomp and polish, expecting a dance. You give him a hurricane, katana parries, wakizashi strikes, and he's down gasping before the crowd can blink. Another town, another champion, same story. Once legend says you beat a guy senseless with a boat oar you found by the river, because for you it's not the weapon, it's the will. Each victory's a stone sharpening your edge. You're not collecting scalps or coins, you're collecting lessons, learning how pride blinds, how fear slows a blade. Your name's a whisper now, spreading from smoky inns to warlord camps. Musashi, the wild ronin, who fights like a demon and vanishes like smoke. You don't stick around for applause. You nod, maybe mutter something cryptic like, and hit the road, your sandals slapping dirt, your mind already on the next fight. The world's learning your name, but you're learning something bigger. Every duel's a mirror showing you your flaws, and you're smashing those mirrors to become something unstoppable. Close your eyes, feel the river's chill, the weight of 2 swords, the pulse of a wind still thrumming in your veins. If you're loving this smash, that like button, tell me where you're at. Osaka, at midnight, London at noon. You're a one-man disaster. Musashi, leaving broken dojos in your wake. The road's calling, and the next champion's waiting to eat dirt. Keep moving, the blades hungry for more. You're a Ronin Musashi, a storm in tattered rags, and now you're striding into Kyoto, Japan's beating heart of culture and ego. It's the early 1600s, and this city's a maze of silk robes, temple bells and samurai who think their pedigrees make them untouchable. You're not here to sip tea or admire cherry blossoms, you're here to rattle cages, to challenge the elite Yoshika school, whose name carries more weight than a warlord's gold. Your sandals are caked with road dust, your cloak smells of river water and stubbornness, and your 2 swords hum with a hunger no Kyoto dandy could understand. The Sengoku period's fading, but its chaos still lingers, and you're about to stir it up like a typhoon hitting a tea house. Kyoto's streets buzz with merchants hawking silk priests chanting sutras, and samurai strutting like they own the sun. The Yoshioka school's a fortress of tradition-training swordsmen for the shogun himself, their blades as polished as their pride. You walk in a scruffy nobody with a katana and wakizashi that don't match your patched-up clothes. The locals snicker, look at this guy, probably lost a bet with a bear, but you don't care. You face down dojo masters and bandits on roads where mercy's a myth. You're here for Seijuro, the Yoshioka's head, a man who thinks his fancy scrolls make him invincible. You issue your challenge calm as a stone in a river, and the city holds its breath. A wild Ronin versus Kyoto's best. It's like a stray dog barking at a dragon. The air's thick with incense and anticipation. You don't bow or play their games, you just stand there eyes sharp, twin blades loose at your hips. The Yoshioka students sneer betting on your blood, but you've already sized them up. Their pride's a crack in their armour and you're a sledgehammer. This isn't just a duel. It's a statement, no lord, no school, no city can chain you. The road's been your dojo, forging you tougher than Kyoto's finest steel. You're not here to fit in, you're here to break their world apart. The Blade's song is loud now, promising a fight that'll echo through these polished streets, and you're ready to make it sing. Drift off to this. The clatter of Kyoto's crowds, the weight of your swords, the thrill of a challenge bigger than any you've faced. If this tale's got you hooked, hit that like button drop. A comment. Where are you at? Tokyo at dusk. Paris at dawn. You're a storm. Rolling into Kyoto Musashi and the Yoshioka don't know what's coming. Step into that dueling ground, the blade's ready to carve your name into history. You're in Kyoto Musashi a run-in with mud on your sandals and fire in your veins, facing Yoshioka Seijuro, the head of the city's most revered sword school. The dueling ground's a polished courtyard surrounded by silk-robed spectators who smell of sake and superiority. Seijuro's a picture of samurai perfection armour, gleaming katana sharp enough to split a whisper, his smirk saying he'll swat you like a fly. You're a mess by comparison. Your cloak torn, your twin blades mismatched, but your eyes, they're a storm cloud, and Seijuro's about to get struck by lightning. The Sengoku period's taught you one thing. Battles aren't won by Polish, they're won by the guy who walks away breathing. The crowd's buzzing, betting on your defeat, their chatter like cicadas on a summer night. Seijuro steps forward all grace and tradition, expecting a formal duel with bows and flourishes. You don't give him that. You stand still, hands loose on your katana and wakizashi, your Nita Nichiryu ready to rewrite his world. He moves first, a clean strike meant to end you quick. You're faster, a blur of instinct and defiance. Your katana parries your wakizashi flashes, and before the crowd can gasp, Seijuro's down, his pride shattered worse than his guard. One blow, brutal, efficient final. The courtyard's silent, then erupts half in shock, half in awe. You've just humiliated Kyoto's golden boy with 2 swords and a grin. You don't gloat. You don't strut. You tug your ragged cloak tight a nod once and slip into the city's shadowed alleys. The Yoshioka school's reeling their name, tarnished by a scruffy ronin who fights like a demon and cares nothing for their rules. Whispers follow you. Musashi the Wild One, the blade that breaks traditions. Your victory's not just a win. It's a crack in Kyoto's polished facade. A sign. The old ways can't hold you. The road's calling again. But you know the Yoshioka won't let this slide. Their honour's bleeding and they'll want blood in return. Let them come. Your blades are ready and the storm inside you's just getting started. Close your eyes, feel the courtyard's tense silence. The weight of your twin blades. The pulse of a victory that's only the beginning. If you're loving this smash that, like button, tell me where you're at. Osaka, at midnight. London at noon. You've shaken Kyoto Musashi. But the Yoshioka's next move is coming. And the road's got more lessons to teach. Keep moving, the blade singing louder now. You're Musashi a Ronin who's just turned Kyoto's pride into dust by felling Yoshioka Seijuro, and now the Yoshioka school's itching for revenge like a flea-bitten dog. Enter Denshichiro, Seijuro's bigger, angrier brother, a human storm cloud armed with a katana and a grudge the size of Mount Fuji. He challenges you to a formal duel, determined to scrub the stain you've left on his family's honour. The city's buzzing like a hornet's nest, sake bets flying, and vendors hawking grilled skewers to the crowd like it's a festival. You're calm as a temple pond, your ragged cloak flapping twin blades loose at your hips. The Sengoku period's taught you rage is a crack in the armour, and Denshichiro's about to learn how you exploit it. The dueling grounds, a wide street, Kyoto's polished facades framing a crowd that smells of incense and anticipation. Denshichiro strides in armour, clanking his sword, gleaming like he polished it with his own fury. He's all muscle and menace, aiming to crush you like a boulder rolling downhill. You look like you wandered in from a bar brawl, sandals worn hair wild, but your eyes... There are predators mapping 3 ways to end this before he blinks. The crowd hushes, expecting a slaughter. Denshichiro charges his blade a roaring arc, but you're light as a leaf on the wind. Your katana deflects your wakizashi, strikes a Nitten Ichi Ryu, dance that's over in a heartbeat. He's down sprawled in the dirt, his honor bleeding out faster than his bruises. The crowd gasps, then roars, half in awe, half in disbelief. You've done it again, another Yoshioka air broken by a scruffy ronin. You don't linger for cheers. You give a curt nod, tug your cloak against the breeze and melt into Kyoto's alleys, leaving whispers in your wake, Musashi the storm, the blade that humbles empires. The Yoshioka schools crumbling their name, now a punchline in sake-soaked inns. But you know they're not done, pride like theirs doesn't die easy, and you've just painted a bigger target on your back. The road's waiting, and so's the next fight, but you're ready. Your blades hum, your mind's sharper than ever, and the world's learning what happens when it underestimates you. Drift off to this, the clash of steel, the weight of your twin blades, the thrill of a victory that shakes Kyoto's core. If you're hooked, hit that like button drop. A comment, where are you at? Tokyo at midnight, Chicago at dawn. You're rewriting history. Musashi one duel at a time, but the Yoshioka's got one last desperate play. Step back onto the road, the blade singing for blood. You've gutted the Yoshioka school's pride, Musashi leaving Seijuro and Denshichiro in the dirt, and now Kyoto's elite are choking on their own egos. The Yoshioka clan's done with honour, they want you dead, and they're not playing fair. They set a trap, a duel with Matashichiro, their young heir, barely old enough to hold a sword right. But you smell the rot from a mile away. It's an ambush with dozens of Yoshioka warriors itching to swarm you like angry ants. The city's whispering bets flying in smoky inns, but you're not some naive kid. You're a ronin, a storm-forged on Japan's wild roads, and you're about to turn their trap into a lesson they'll never forget. The dueling grounds a misty field outside Kyoto, the air heavy with dawn's chill and the tang of wet grass. You show up early before their swordsmen can hide in the shadows, your twin blades drawn your cloak blending with the twilight. Matashichiro's there, a nervous kid pushed into a man's fight, his eyes wide as a spooked deer's. You don't hesitate, your katana flashes a clean strike and he's down before he can scream. Chaos erupts. Yoshioka men pour out swords, gleaming shouting curses that'd make a sailor blush. They expect a cornered rat. They get a wolf. You move like lightning, Nitten Ichi Ryu, a deadly dance katana parries wakizashi cuts, and men fall like rice stalks in a gale. You slip through their ranks, a ghost in the mist, and by the time they regroup, you're gone, a rumour fading into the dusk. Kyoto's stunned. The Yoshioka school, once the shogun's pride collapses in disgrace their name, now a warning, don't cross Musashi. You don't celebrate. You walk away, sandals crunching on the road, your blades quiet but ready. The ambush was their last gasp, and you've just buried their legacy. But victory's heavy, each win carves you sharper, but it's a lonely edge. The road's your home, and mastery's your only lord. You're not here for revenge, you're here for perfection, and that means more duels, more lessons, more storms to unleash. Close your eyes, feel the mist on your skin, the pulse of your swords, the silence after the chaos. If this tale's gripping you, smash that like button, tell me where you're at. Osaka at noon. London at dusk. You've broken an empire, Musashi, but the road's got more to teach. Keep walking the blades hungry for the next challenge. You've torn the Yoshioka school to shreds, Musashi leaving their heirs, Seijuro Denshichiro, and young Matashichiro broken in your wake. Kyoto's elite are reeling, their golden institution reduced to a cautionary tale whispered in sake-soaked inns. You're a ronin, a storm in ragged robes, and you've just toppled an empire with your twin blades and a mind sharper than steel. The Sengoku period's chaos is your canvas, and you've painted it with the Yoshika's disgrace. The city's streets hum with your name, half awe, half fear, as if you're not a man but a force of nature, a blade that cuts through pride as easily as flesh. You don't linger to gloat, your sandals hit the road, leaving Kyoto to choke on its own shock. The Yoshioka were the shogun's pride, their dojo a beacon of tradition churning out samurai like a temple churns out prayers. Now it's a husk, its students scattered, its name a punchline. You did that, Musashi, with no lord, no army, just your Nitten Ichi Ryu and a stubborn refusal to bow. The whispers follow you, the wild run-in who fights like a demon, who turned a trap into a slaughter, who walked away without a scratch. but victory's not sweet. It's heavy like the weight of your katana after a long day's fight. Each win carves you sharper, but it also carves out a piece of the world you might have belonged to. You're not just a swordsman now, you're a legend, and legends walk alone. You move through Kyoto's alleys, the air thick with cherry blossom scent and the sting of defeat. The road calls as it always does, promising new duels, new lessons. You don't need the Yoshioka's approval or their gold, you need mastery, the kind no school can teach. Your blades hum softly, a reminder of the path you've chosen, not glory, not revenge, but perfection. The Yoshioka's fall is a milestone, not a destination. Japan's still full of swordsmen who think they can match you, and you're ready to show them they're wrong. But deep down you feel it, a flicker of something bigger than battle, a whisper of a purpose beyond blood. Drift off to this, the crunch of gravel underfoot, the weight of your twin blades, the echo of a fallen school fading behind you. If this tale's gripping, you hit that like button drop. A comment, where are you at? Osaka. At dusk. Sydney at dawn. You've broken the Yoshioka Musashi, but the road's got more to teach. Step into the unknown, the blade's ready for what's next. You're Musashi a Ronin, with the Yoshioka school's ruin trailing you like dust on Japan's endless roads. Kyoto's behind you, its polished pride shattered. But you're not chasing applause. You're chasing mastery, the kind forged in sweat, steel and solitude. The Sengoku period's a fading storm, but its echoes still drive you from province to province, your twin blades at your side, your cloak more holes than cloth. You drift like a blade on the wind, no map, no lord, just a hunger to sharpen yourself against the world. Every village, every dojo, every bandit camp is a chance to refine Nitanichi-ryu, to turn your two-sword style into something no one's ever seen. You face all-comers swordmasters with scrolls longer than their blades, monks wielding staffs and serenity bandits who think numbers beat skill. A spearman in a mountain pass learns your wakizashi's bite before he can blink. A dojo champion in a riverside town falls to your katana's parry, and a smirk that cuts deeper than steel. You don't fight for gold or fame, you fight to learn, each duel a mirror showing your flaws. You adapt, shedding what doesn't work like a river, carving new paths through stone. The road's your sensei, teaching you to read a foe's fear in a trembling grip, to predict a strike from a shifted stance. Your style's not just deadly, it's alive, evolving with every step. Stories about you spread like wildfire. Musashi fought 3 men with a fan, they say. He beat a spearman with a broken fishing pole. True or not, you don't care. Fame's a trap and you're too busy dodging real ones. Bandits! Storm's hunger that gnaws louder than a temple bell. Your sandals are dust, your stomach's on speaking terms with tree bark, but your blades, they're sharper than ever, and so's your mind. You're not the boy who left Miyamoto anymore. You're a stormer Ronin who's rewriting what a samurai can be. The road's endless, and so's your hunger for something bigger than victory. Close your eyes, feel the weight of your swords, the bite of cold wind, the pulse of a life unbound. If you're loving this, smash that like button, tell me where you're at. Kyoto at midnight, Austin at noon. The road's reshaping you, Musashi, into something unstoppable. But there's more to learn, more to become. Keep wandering the blades, singing for the next lesson. You're Musashi, a Ronin whose name's outrunning you like a wildfire across Japan's dusty plains. The Yoshioka school's a broken memory. They're elite swordsmen humbled by your twin blades, and now tales of your deeds ripple through villages, inns and warlord camps. You're not just a swordsman, you're a myth, a storm in human form whispered about over flickering campfires and cheap sake. The Sengoku period's fading, but your legend's just igniting, painting you as half man, half demon, wielding Nitanichi-ryu like a force of nature. You don't chase fame, but it's chasing you, and it's got a wild imagination. Musashi fought 3 men with a paper fan, they say. He stared down a bear till it apologized. You hear these stories smirk and keep walking, your sandals crunching gravel, your blades humming for truth, not tales. Villagers gape as you pass their whispers, trailing you like dust. That's him, they mutter, the Ronin who broke Kyoto's pride with a wooden stick. Kids swing sticks pretending to be you, while old men spin yarns about you felling a spearman with a broken fishing pole. Some tales are half true, others pure nonsense, but you don't correct them. Fame's a trap, a shiny cage you've dodged since you left Miyamoto. You're here for mastery, not applause, and every duel's a lesson, not a stage. Yet the stories grow, turning you into something bigger than a man, a shadow that makes samurai sweat before they even draw. Your ragged cloak, your mud-caked sandals, your eyes sharp as a hawk's. They're not just yours anymore. They're part of the legend, a warning to anyone fool enough to challenge you. You move through Japan's wilds, the air thick with pine and possibility, your twin blades a quiet promise at your side. The road's your dojo and the world's learning your name, but you're learning something deeper. Myths are mirrors showing what people fear or crave. You don't need their worship, you need the next fight, the next flaw to sharpen. The whispers don't feed you, they just remind you how far you've come and how far you've yet to go. Your legend's a storm, Musashi, but you're the eye calm and relentless, carving a path no one else can walk. Drift off to this, the murmur of a village crowd, the weight of your katana, the pulse of a name that's no longer just yours. If this tale's pulling you in, hit that like button drop. A comment, where are you at? Tokyo. At dusk, Seattle. At dawn. Your myth's growing. Musashi. But the road's got more to teach. Keep moving the blades hungry for what's real. You're Musashi, a ronin whose blades have carved a legend from Japan's chaos, but somewhere between your 100th duel and 1,000th mosquito bite, something shifts inside you. The road's been your dojo, the Sengoku period's violence, your teacher, but now under a sky heavy with stars you feel a new hunger, not for blood, but for meaning. You're still a storm, your Nitin Ichiryu, a whirlwind of steel, but the duels, the victories, they're starting to feel like steps on a path leading somewhere bigger. You're not just fighting opponents anymore, you're fighting for a glimpse of something eternal, and it's whispering to you in the quiet moments between the clash of blades and the crunch of gravel. You sit by a river, its murmur blending with the night's chorus of crickets, and pick up a brush instead of a sword. Your calligraphy's shaky at first, ink splattering like a novice's blood, but you keep at it patient as you were with your twin blades. You paint hills, rivers, birds caught mid-flight and realize the brush moves like a katana, precise, alive, demanding presence. Swordsmanship and art aren't opposites. They're kin, both chasing balance, clarity, a mark on the world that lasts. You study Zen not in temples, but in the wild, meditating under pines, feeling the world's pulse in a gust of wind. The blades taught you to cut through flesh. Now you're learning to cut through illusion, to see the duel beneath the duel, the mind behind the steel. Your peers don't get it. Musashi's painting now, they scoff sipping sake in Kyoto's inns. The guy who crushed the Yoshioka's doodling let them laugh. You see what they don't, victory's fleeting, but mastery's forever. The road's reshaping you not just as a warrior, but as a seeker, a man who knows the sword's only half the story. Your blades still hum, ready for the next fool who thinks they can match you, but your heart's starting to hum too, with questions bigger than any duel. Close your eyes, feel the river's chill, the weight of a brush in your hand, the pulse of a path unfolding. If you're loving this smash that like button, tell me where you're at. Kyoto at midnight, Sydney at noon. You're becoming more than a Ronin Musashi, a storm with a soul. The road's calling and it's leading somewhere new. Keep walking, the blades singing, but so's the silence. You're Musashi, a Ronin whose twin blades have carved a legend through Japan's chaos, but now a new name's drifting through the smoky inns and dusty crossroads, Sasaki Kojiro. It's the early 1600s, and you're in your 30s, a storm tempered by years of duels and wandering. The Sengoku period's embers still glow, and your reputation's a wildfire. Villagers whisper of the wild Ronin who crushed the Yoshioka school, who fights like a demon with two swords. But Kojiro, he's a spark that could ignite a blaze to match yours. You hear the tales, a swordsman with a blade so long it could swat a crane from the sky undefeated, just like you. Your lips twitch into a faint smile. Interesting. Kojiro's no backwater braggart. He's a force polished where you're raw regal, where you're ragged. His sword, the Monohoshi Zao. Drawing pole is absurdly long, a katana that looks like it belongs on a ship's mast, not a duel. His style, the Tsubami Gaishi, mimics a swallow's wings, quick elegance slicing the air with a precision that'd make a poet weep. You're a wolf, all instinct and grit. He's a hawk, soaring with deadly grace. Whispers say he's fencing master to a lord draped in silk, sleeping on tatami while you're still using your cloak as blanket and napkin in some barn. But you don't envy him. You feel something rarer excitement. A real challenge, not another dojo fool to swat down, but a mirror, a man who might force you to dig deeper to sharpen edges you didn't know were dull. The rumours swell like a storm brewing over the Seto Sea. Two undefeated swordsmen, two masters of steel and will, two legends destined to collide. You hear it in Kyoto's tea houses, in the chatter of fishermen mending nets. Musashi versus Kojiro, a duel to end all duels. You don't rush to meet him. You wander your sandals, crunching frost, your twin blades humming at your side. The roads taught you patience, and you know paths like yours, and Kojiro's aren't meant to stay apart forever. They're fated to crash spectacular as a typhoon meeting a mountain. Deep down, the wolf in you stirs, smelling a fight worth having a chance to test Niiten Ichiryu against a blade as fierce as your own. Drift off to this, the murmur of a riverside inn, the weight of your katana, the thrill of a rival worthy of your storm. If this tale's pulling you in, hit that like button drop. A comment, where are you at Tokyo at midnight, Sydney at dawn. The name Kojiro's a spark, Musashi, and it's lighting a fire in your blood. Keep walking the blades ready for a duel that'll echo through time. You're Musashi, a ronin whose legend's carved in blood and steel, and now the challenge is set. Sasaki Kojiro, the Swallow Cup master, awaits you on Ganrujima, a rocky speck in the Kanman Straits. It's a stage fit for gods to watch, flat enough for a clean fight, remote enough to keep the world's noise at bay. The air's thick with salt and destiny as you prepare, but you don't do it like other samurai. No sleepless nights polishing armour, no tearful poems scrawled by lantern light, no fussing over silk robes. Your hair's a wild mess, your cloak's more patch than cloth, and you're calm as a stone in a riverbed. You've faced death too many times to sweat it now, and Kojiro's just another duel, except he's not. He's the one who might finally match you, and that's why you're grinning like a wolf smelling prey. You study Kojiro like a hunter tracks a tiger. His Tsubamegaishi is fast, precise, deadly at mid-range, a blade that dances like a swallow's wings. A straight fight suicide, he'd carve you up before you could blink. So you change the game. You carve a bokken from a boat or rough, and unpolished its length, matching Kojiro's absurd monohoshizao. No gleaming steel, just wood and intent, because you know victory's not in the weapon, it's in the mind. You arrange a small boat to ferry you to the island, the oar-turned sword resting across your knees as you row through dawn's mist. The sea's breath is cool, the horizon sharp, and you're not preparing for a duel. You're rewriting its rules, turning Kojiro's strengths into traps. Your plan's simple, but ruthless disrupt him. Show up late not to disrespect, but to fray his nerves, to make his pride itch. You'll wield that oar like it's a joke, knowing it'll rattle him more than any katana. Every move's a feint, every choice a strike at his mind before your blades even cross. The roads taught you this. Duels are won in the silence, before the clash and the doubt you plant like a seed. You're ready, Musashi, not just to fight, but to outthink a legend, to turn his elegance into a weakness. The boat rocks gently, the oar heavy in your hands, and the wolf inside you hums, eager for the storm about to break. Close your eyes, feel the seas sway, the weight of that wooden oar, the pulse of a plan coming together. If you're loving this, smash that like button, tell me where you're at. Osaka at noon, London at dusk, Ganrujima's waiting. Musashi and so's Kojiro. Row on the blades singing for a fight that'll change you forever. You step off the boat onto Ganrujima's rocky shore, Musashi, the sea's salt, clinging to your ragged cloak like a second skin. It's dawn, the air sharp with brine and tension, and there he is, Sasaki Kojiro, waiting like a statue carved from pride. His monohoshizao, that absurdly long katana, gleams in the pale light, a blade that could slice the horizon itself. He's all elegant silk robes, hair oiled, stance perfect, a hawk poised to strike. You look like you stumbled out of a tavern brawl, sandals worn hair wild, gripping a crude wooden oar you carved into a bokken. The crowd retainers, fishermen, curious gawkers, murmurs, snickering at your disrespect. Kojiro's lips curl into a sneer, his patience fraying. Good. You're already inside his head, and the duel hasn't even started. The island's a stark stage flat, and unforgiving the waves whispering like they're taking bets. You're late deliberately to rattle Kojiro's polished calm. Your oar swords are taunt, screaming you don't need steel to break him. He draws his blade in one fluid motion, the Tsubamegaishi ready to cut a swallow from the sky. The crowd hushes, expecting a dance of steel. You give them something else, a storm. You stand still, eyes locked on his Niiten Ichiryu mind, mapping his every twitch. He moves fast as lightning, his blade a silver arc. You see it coming, not just the steel, but the flicker of doubt in his eyes, the anger you've stoked. You surge forward, oar whistling through the salty air, a single perfect blow. Crack. Wood meets skull, and Kojiro collapses, instant final, a legend crumpled on the sand. Silence grips the island thicker than the morning mist. Mouths hang open, rice balls freeze mid-bite, even the gulls seem stunned. You lower your oar, breathing steady heart, calm as a temple pond. The crowd's stares bore into you half awe, half fear, like they're seeing a god or a ghost. Kojiro, the swallow-cut master, the fencing lord, lies broken by a ronin with a stick. You've ended him not with flash, but with precision, not with steel, but with strategy. The victory's yours, but it's heavy like the ore dragging at your side. This wasn't just a duel, it was the end of an era, and you feel it in your bones, a shift you can't yet name. Drift off to this, the crash of waves, the weight of your oar, the silence of a world reshaped. If this tale's gripping you, hit that like button drop, a comment, where are you at? Tokyo at midnight, Sydney at dawn. You've slain a titan, Musashi, but the victory's bittersweet. Step back onto the boat, the blade's quiet now, but the road's got more to say. You stand on Ganryujima's blood-sprinkled sand, Musashi, the wooden oar still heavy in your hand. Sasaki Kojiro's body crumpled at your feet. The duel's over, quicker than a heartbeat, but the silence is louder than any clash of steel. The crowd's samurai retainers, fishermen, wide-eyed witnesses, stares like, you're not a man, but a storm that just tore through their world. No cheers, no cries, just a heavy quiet that clings tighter than the sea's salt on your cloak. You've done the impossible, felled Kojiro, the swallow-cut master, the only swordsman who could stand as your equal. But victory doesn't burn bright in your chest, it's cold like a stone sinking into deep water, and you're starting to feel its weight. The island's stark, the waves lapping lazily as if afraid to disturb the moment. Kojiro lies there, his monohoshizao useless, his elegance shattered like a broken fan. You look at him, not with triumph, but with a strange ache. He wasn't some dojo braggart or prideful lord, he was a mirror, a warrior who chased mastery as fiercely as you. You didn't just kill him, you ended a destiny that might have walked beside yours in a kinder world. The crowd's whispers start soft as rustling grass. Musashi killed him with an oar. He didn't even draw his blades. They see a legend growing, but you see something else, a peak you've climbed, only to find it lonely, the air thin, the rival's gone. You turn without a word, your sandals crunching on the rocky shore, and board the small boat waiting to carry you back. The oar clunks against the hull, awkward out of place like the hollow in your chest. The boatman, an old man with hands like weathered woodrows, silently not daring to meet your eyes. Ganryujima shrinks behind you, a speck of land where two titans clashed, and only one walked away. The world will sing of this, poets will weave it into epics, scribes will inflate it with lies, but you feel no joy. Victory's a strange death, not of Kojiro, but of something in you. The road ahead feels different now, not a path of duels, but a search for meaning in a world suddenly too small. Close your eyes, feel the boat sway, the oars wait, the quiet that follows a storm. If you're hooked, smash that. Like button, tell me where you're at. Osaka at noon, London at dusk. You've changed history, Musashi, but the cost is heavy. Row on the blade silent and the road's whispering something new. You're Musashi, rowing away from Ganryujima. The sea's rhythm steady, but your heart unsteady. Sasaki Kojiro's defeat a weight heavier than the oar in your hands. The island's a fading speck, but Kojiro's ghost clings to you not as a trophy, but a wound. He wasn't some dojo braggart or petty lord, he was a swordsman, a mirror of your relentless hunger for mastery, and you shattered him with one brutal strike. The Sengoku period's chaos shaped you both, but now you're alone, the only one left standing on a peak no one else can climb. Victory's supposed to taste like fire, but this one's ash, bitter and cold, settling in your bones as the mainland looms closer. Back on shore, the tales are already sprouting like weeds. Musashi showed up late to rattle Kojiro, they say. He carved that oar to mock him, struck before Kojiro could blink. By next moon, they'll claim you rode a giant carp to the island and fought with a tree trunk. You hear the stories in passing, smirking at their absurdity, but they don't fill the hollow in your chest. Kojiro was your greatest challenge, a man who danced on death's edge with the same fierce clarity you do. Killing him didn't just end a duel, it closed a door you can't reopen. The world feels smaller now, its edges duller, its swordsmen too fragile to match you. You've outlived your rival, and that's a heavier burden than any blade. Late at night, by a lone campfire, the flames crackling like distant steel, you replay the duel. Not with guilt, but with a quiet respect and ache for the man who could have been your brother in arms. Kojiro's ghost walks with you now, a shadow cast by every victory. The road ahead stretches lonelier than ever, and you feel it, the duels, the blood, they're not enough anymore. You're not chasing opponents, you're chasing meaning, something to fill the void left by a world too small for your storm. The blade's still yours, but its song's softer, urging you toward a fight no steel can win. Drift off to this, the campfire's glow, the oars wait, the silence of a world without equals. If this tale's gripping, you hit that like button. Drop a comment, where are you at? Tokyo at midnight, Sydney at dawn. You've slain a legend, Musashi, but the real battle's just beginning. Walk on the blades whispering something new. You're Musashi a Ronin in your late 30s, the echo of Sasaki Kojira's fall still ringing in your soul. Japan's roads, once your dojo, feel quieter. Now the duels that fueled you leaving only embers. The Sengoku period's chaos is fading and your legends are wildfire, villagers whisper of the wild swordsman who broke the Yoshioka and felled Kojiro with an oar. But victory's a hollow thing, a weight that pulls you inward. You're not afraid of defeat. You're starving for something more than blood. So you turn from the dueling grounds, not running, but seeking your twin blades still at your side, but drawn less often. The world's too small for your storm, and the real fight's inside you now. You wander deeper into Japan's wilds, mountains and forests, your new companions. No crowds, no challenges, just bamboo whispering secrets, rivers rushing like your thoughts. Your cloak's tattered, your sandals dust, but your mind's sharper than ever, cutting through the noise of fame. Young hotheads still seek you, itching to test their blades, but you turn most away with a glance. A word your presence, a duel they've already lost. The blades taught you to kill. Now you're learning to live, to find harmony in the stillness between strikes. The wolf inside you sits not caged, but calm, watching the world, with eyes that see beyond steel. Drift off to this, the rustle of leaves, the weight of your katana, the quiet of a soul turning inward. If you're hooked, smash that like button, tell me where you're at. Osaka at noon, London at dusk, you're stepping off the road. Musashi into a new kind of battle. Keep seeking the blades silent, but the silence is singing. You're Musashi a Ronin, turning from duels to deeper battles, and now, in Japan's quiet wilds, you pick up a brush instead of a blade. The world knows you as a storm of steel, but here by a river's soft murmur you're chasing a new mastery art. Your calligraphy's rough at first, ink splattering like a novice's blood, but you're patient, disciplined, as relentless with a brush as you were with Nita Nichiryu. You paint hills, rivers, birds frozen in flight, each stroke flowing like a katana's arc, precise and alive. You realize the sword and brush are twins, both demanding presence, balance, a clear eye to mark the world with grace. You carve wood into sculptures, practice tea ceremonies with a warrior's focus, and find the same spirit that guided your blades now guides your hands. Art's not escape. It's another duel against chaos, against time. Your peers scoff, Musashi, the Yoshioka slayer doodling. Let them laugh. You see what they don't, victory fades, but creation endures. Your ink-washed cherry blossoms outlive any duel, your carved figures stand where blood once spilled. The world's still noisy with your legend, but you're crafting something quieter, eternal, a legacy beyond steel. Drift off to this, the scratch of brush on paper, the river's hum, the calm of creation. If you're hooked, hit that like button. Tell me where you're at. Tokyo at dusk, Sydney at dawn. You're no longer just a warrior, Musashi, you're a creator. Keep painting. The silence is your new blade. You're Musashi a Ronin, seeking truths beyond the blade, and now Japan's mountains cradle you as you dive into Zen. No smoky temples for you, just the wild, where waterfalls roar like jewels and pines whisper sutras. You meditate under icy cascades, water hammering your shoulders, your breath steady as a drawn katana. You fast until your body's light as air hunger, sharpening your mind clearer than any steel. The Sengoku period's chaos fades, and you're no longer fighting foes, you're fighting illusions, the ego that once fueled your storm. Zen's your new dojo, teaching you the duel is within. You sit in stillness, hours passing like breaths, feeling the world's pulse in a gust of wind. The blade's lesson was to strike. Zen's is to pause, to see the wave of conflict and step aside. The wolf in you, once feral, now watches calm its ferocity, tamed by wisdom. Young swordsmen still seek you, but you turn them away with a glance, your silence a victory. Mastery's not domination, it's harmony, knowing when to act, when to let the world breathe. Your art, your blades, your soul, they're all converging, pointing to a truth no duel could teach. Drift off to this, the waterfall's roar, the stillness of your breath, the quiet of a mind unbound. If you're loving this, smash that like button, tell me where you're at. Osaka at noon, London at dusk, you're becoming whole. Musashi, a storm at peace. Keep meditating, the silence is your sharpest blade. You're Musashi, a ronin, whose blades once shook Japan, but now the world's